How's it going, everyone? I hope you're well. Oh, mate, the weather's grim. I'm supposed to be out walking today. I want to get out on the Chesterfield Canal, you know, do some history stomping, exploring to kind of escape the madness, but unfortunately the weather's a bit rubbish and a bit windy, as you can hear. Have you all been keeping up with what's been going on in Davos? The World Economic Forum, that's been this week, isn't it? Where basically the worst among us all fly in on their private jets, eating Wagyu beef and all that stuff, shagging prostitutes, and then making plans about how they can basically create a world where we have no privacy, we own nothing, we can't travel, we can't eat meat, we've got to live on bugs and stuff, haven't we? Now, I normally feel sorry for people that basically feel like they have no other choice than to prostitute themselves to the highest bidder, but then I've basically just described a politician, haven't I? Now, talking to politicians, you might notice I'm wearing orange. That's in honour of Mr. Trump, who's also been at Davos pretending to be anti-globalist and anti-establishment. And he's announced his Board of Peace. Have you seen that? Have you seen the logo? It's basically the UN logo, but it looks like it's been sort of rebranded and made by someone on MS Paint. I don't know, like an intern or something. And it doesn't really include the rest of the world on the map, it's just America, because that's all that matters apparently. Now, on this Board of Peace, you've basically got war criminals and real estate developers. And their major plan is how we're going to bring peace to Gaza. But they say the quiet part out loud, you see. So the talk is nothing of peace. It's about how they're going to redevelop it on the bones of tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dead Palestinians. It's basically what October 7th was all about. We know that they allowed it to happen. They've admitted as much. That's what it was all about. Allow it to happen so you can use October 7th as an excuse to commit a genocide, steal the land as part of the Greater Israel Project. So when you look at the list of names on this Gaza Board of Peace, well, one, you got Donald Trump, who's bombed, what, Syria, Iran, Venezuela. It's not very peaceful, is it? Yemen. I'll be honest, I've not bombed anyone and I'm not on the Board of Peace. I get the feeling they're just bored of peace, or the idea of it. You got Tony Blair, see, the butcher of Baghdad, wanted war criminal, or at least he should be a wanted war criminal. He's on it. There's nothing says peace like a man that's responsible for the death of 1 million Iraqis. You got Jared Kushner, who is basically a property developer who looks like a demon. He's the one, he's Donald Trump's son-in-law, he's the one who's basically stood there at the World Economic Forum showing his plans for Gaza with all these high-rise apartments and stuff. They're insane. Like, they're literally insane. His dad is a friend of Benjamin Netanyahu's as well, the man responsible for the genocide. And actually, Netanyahu used to sleep in Jared Kushner's room when he used to come and stay in America. He went to prison, Jared Kushner's dad, for being a crook, like they all are. But luckily, Donald Trump pardoned him. It's a big club, isn't there? We ain't in it, and we don't want to be in it. Well, at least I don't. Who else is on that list? Oh yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu. So the man responsible for the genocide in Gaza, the one they still try and pretend didn't happen, is now on the Board of Peace for Gaza. But he had to sign up for the Board of Peace remotely because he couldn't fly to Switzerland because he's wanted by the International Criminal Court, easy for me to say, for war crimes committed in Gaza. You can't make that up. But it goes to show, I don't know if it's true of all of this stuff, everything's inverted, isn't it? It's that whole Orwell thing of war is peace and freedom is slavery. And that's exactly what we've got. But we've also reached a point where I don't think they care anymore about being exposed. Like, I saw a tweet by Jimmy Dore, the American comedian Jimmy Dore. He basically said, like, I don't think they care how much they're hated anymore. Like in the old days, you know, politicians, because they're all on the same side, by the way. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. Like, they're all on the same side. I think Trump's over in Russia with Putin now. They all pretend to be enemies, and they're not really. They all answer to the same people, which aren't me and you. But we've got to a point where we've gone away from the old status quo. And the old status quo was that they would at least pretend, like they would try and fool us into supporting their scheming, and that they were good guys. Politicians are good guys, and any problems that happened as a result of politics was due to, well, either incompetence or maybe a little bit of corruption. But they're just like a small percentage. The rest of us are just trying our best. Just trust us. Then people started waking up and figuring it out. Hang on, this is no, they're all on the same team. They're all on the same team, and they're all working to the same end. So I think they got to a point where they just went, sort of pointless, isn't it? Horses bolted, really, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like, just sod it. So what they did was they just controlled speech. So they own the mainstream media anyway, as we've discussed many times. They've taken over social media massively in terms of, well, flat out banning and stuff like that. Obviously the purchase of TikTok by Larry Ellison, all that kind of stuff. But also through algorithms. So this week I found out what I already knew, which was that I was being massively suppressed by X. But actually Grok, the AI, not that I use AI, of course, but others have used it and found a way to basically find out whether you're shadow banned or not. Now they've changed it now, so Grok's been shushed. But for a couple of days anyone could go in and find out. So my account on X is of moderate risk, presumably to the establishment. I'm a bit offended by that. I was hoping it'd be higher than that. But moderate risk. And the key words where it says that my account is suppressed in terms of the amount of views and the amount of shares and visibility, basically, is related to Israel. Nothing else. So I can do these walks and I can talk about whatever. Like, it's really muddy here. Look at that. Yeah, I don't fancy that. I'm in trainers as well. I haven't thought this through. I can talk about mass immigration. I can talk about Russia, Ukraine. I can talk, to be fair, I can talk about gender ideology, critical race theory. Like, I can talk whatever I want about that. That's fine. But anything to do with Israel and political Zionism, I'm suppressed. Now, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but throughout history, the good guys don't tend to be the ones that take away your free speech. That's just sort of a thing, isn't it? But there we go. So that's one way of controlling it now. So they don't actually care that we know. They say the quiet part out loud. So they come out and say, yeah, we're going to develop Gaza and all this kind of stuff. Because, well, what are you going to do about it? I honestly think that's their attitude now. What are you going to do about it? You're suppressed to hell algorithmically. We control it. So what are you going to do? Try and walk around some muddy woods chatting about it? I don't care. That's what that I think is the point that they're at now. But the more open and emboldened they feel, the more they say the quiet part out loud, the more people start to twig, and that's happening. But what I'm noticing is quite interesting, because they are crazy times we're living in at the moment, aren't they? I mean, it's everything's mad. And that's by design, of course, because what better way to bring in order than out of chaos? That's what they do throughout history. But we're at a crazy time now, reason being, and I'm seeing people saying this. I saw George Galloway, the former British MP, say this, that he's at the point now where he thinks Trump must be an agent of ours, of the alternative, of the anti-establishment, because of what he's destroying. Now, I can kind of see a little bit why people are starting to be hoodwinked by that, because it's a crazy time. Because those that are anti-establishment and those that serve the establishment at this moment in time want the same thing, and that is to destroy the status quo, destroy the order of things. So I can understand on a base level why someone would look at someone like Trump and others around the world and go, maybe they're working for us. Nah, they're not. Short term, they've got the same goal. Long term, they haven't. So what we want to do, overwhelmingly, is bring down the current establishment and build a better world. You know, not a build back better, but build a better world where there's more fairness, and you know, we get rid of homelessness and poverty and child abuse and everything else. You know, they don't want that. They want to destroy this to bring in that technocratic dystopia, essentially. So it's utopia versus dystopia, essentially. Two different goals. But before we get to those 2 points, you hit the crossroads, and that's where we are now, where we're aligned. And that's the same with anything throughout history. So if you think the establishment, the cult, they have a goal to a certain point, and it serves them. So royal families throughout history served the cult until it got to a point where they didn't anymore, so you get rid of them. And basically the descendants of those royal families all move into politics and banking and all media and all other systems of control. They're just not called kings and queens and princes and princesses anymore, because royalty is a pretty obvious top-down control over the people. So the people revolt against that. The peasants revolt. French Revolution and all that kind of stuff. The Russian Revolution. And that will happen here as well. The royal family is as unpopular as it's ever been, and it will go eventually. Now, I support that because I don't support the royal family. I don't think anyone should have control over anyone else because of who they slept with, especially if it's a cousin. But that's just me. But they've served their purpose, and so they will get rid of them as well. So at the moment, the world is at a certain way, it's at a certain point, which is served. Now, to go to the next step of this technocratic takeover, which is all, you know, Greenland and the technate of America, search that, Elon Musk's granddad, and all that stuff, you know, Cuba and all that stuff is involved in that as well, Canada. To get to that point, you need to destroy what is going on now. There's no better way of destroying what's going on now than creating chaos, so that then you go, oh mate, something needs to be done, we need to change it. So even if you go, say, England, for instance, in England, obviously, you start off with your tribes and stuff, and then it formed into kingdoms. So you had the Kingdom of Wessex and Kingdom of Mercia and Northumberland, and then you had the Scots, you know, and then you had the Welsh, and you had obviously the Vikings coming over with the Danelaw areas, all this kind of stuff. Now, they're warring with each other. So what you do, I think it's about 928, is you form a united England. Now that united England is sold to the people, bear in mind we're going back so far in history, as bringing together those warring factions. There will be peace in this land, we can all prosper, everyone gets on board with it. So that serves for a while, but then they're still fighting the Welsh, and they're still fighting the Scots. So then it gets to a point of, well, what about a united kingdom? So it becomes that. You have years and years of the United Kingdom, then you have war in Europe. What do we need to stop war in Europe? Well, what about bringing in, I don't know, like a European Union, having everyone together? So, you know, 30 years after the end of the Second World War, the European Union is built, you have all these countries together, so then there'll never be war. Really? And now we're at a point where they're building, you know, obviously this, I know Britain voted to leave the EU, I think that was against what the establishment wanted. But now, because of what's going on with Trump in Greenland, it's being drawn together again. Britain is being thrown back into Europe in terms of a bloc. So you've got that Europe, you've got this American technate being built, and I think they'll set them against each other in the end to create this massive conflict, which will lead to the one world government, one world army, one world digital currency, because they'll crash all the economies and all that kind of stuff. And we're at the moment in that point of destruction, and that's what I think Trump is all about. I think he's an agent of chaos, and it's popcorn worthy. It is. But in the end, he will be shown, and he is to more and more people, as the agent of chaos that he is. But people are still supporting it, even with the no Epstein client list and all this kind of stuff. Still celebrating at Davos his role as Papa Warp Speed, the rollout of the jabs and all that stuff. Still celebrating it. Blocking any prosecution of Fauci for COVID crimes in America. Well, of course he's going to do that, because that would implicate himself. Same reason he won't release the unredacted Epstein files, because that will implicate himself. And so, while this sounds like a bit of a Trump-heavy America rant, it's not, because the real point I'm trying to make is how everything is inverted. Like I said, the Orwell, you know, freedom is slavery, war is peace. So you've got this Gaza board of peace, which is the opposite of that. I don't know about you, but if I've got a board of peace, I don't want war criminals in it. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't. I want people that care about peace and have a history of caring about peace and fighting for peace, not a history of bombing people, killing people. You've got all the chaos in America as well with ICE and the inversion of that, where, you know, you have the MAGA supporters that were massively anti federal agencies and now suddenly going, yeah, good, when they're shooting people in the head. American citizens. This is lunacy. But it's the chaos. Create. And it wouldn't shock me if they wanted some kind of civil war in America either. Same in Britain. More chaos, the better. Because then more people are going to be susceptible to the antidote to that, which of course won't be the antidote to that. It's the same as what's going on in Iran. You create this chaos in Iran. Like a couple of days ago, they found Israeli military grade bullets in some of the bodies of the protesters. Like there's clearly more going on there. But it creates a chaos. Gives people the excuse to offer a solution, which is either a bombing campaign, which it will be. America will go into Iran because the board of peace. But you can apply it to more localized stuff. So I'll come back to the UK because I know a lot of people that watch these YouTube videos are in the United Kingdom. I'm at a point now where when I'm told someone's the good guy, or when I'm told someone's the bad guy, or even when I'm told a version of history, I'm like, well, I'm not taking that on face value. Like, I'm just not. So when I'm told to hate someone or fear someone, I don't automatically love them and support them, but I do go, right, why do you want me to hate them? And when someone tells me that someone's the good guy, and he's going to do this and he's going to do that, or she's going to do this and she's going to do that, you know, we've got to be inclusive. Although the Board of Peace has only got one woman on it. You go, why do you want me to think that? Because let's just have a couple of examples. Let's think of a national treasure in the United Kingdom. Raise loads of money for charity, good guy, national treasure. Jimmy Savile. Front page memorials when he died. Hugh Edwards. He told us the truth every day on the BBC News, didn't he? National treasure. Part of the furniture. Well, he's a paedophile. It's not good, is it? And then even on a lesser degree, someone like Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker's a national treasure, isn't he? Now I support what he says on Gaza and stuff like that. I don't support his sort of apologies and embarrassment on that level, but I support his stance on genocide being bad. But then, do you know what I mean? Every now and then the sun shines on a dog's arse. Let's have it right. During COVID, he was a total knobend. He wasn't a national treasure and a Mr. Nice guy. Oh, mate, I've done myself again. This is an old colliery I'm walking on. That's why it's all been open cast. That's the term I was looking for. Yeah, so Mr. Nice guy, the nice guy of football. Well, he was a total knobhead during Rona. So not a very nice guy at all. And then you get, what about someone like Dr. Hillary? He's a national treasure as well, isn't he? Dr. Hillary, on This Morning, on the telly, part of the furniture. Well, yeah, but he was an absolute scumbag during Rona. Gaslighting and lying to people to try and get them to take a jab. He's got pericarditis. It's interesting, isn't it? Rushed to hospital last week. I ain't saying anything. And then, actually, I'll tell you what, let's go all the way back to music choices then. So when I was a kid, I grew up listening to grunge. I was a big Nirvana fan. Dave Grohl, drummer in Nirvana. He's known as the nice guy of rock and roll, isn't he? He was a total knobhead during Rona. Wouldn't let people come to the concerts if they weren't jabbed with poison. It's inversion, isn't it? I'm at that point now. Everything's upside down. Everything is upside down.
Thank you very much for watching and subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you'd like to take a look at all the other things that I do, the content like weekly shows and documentaries that I create, please check out my Linktree link in the description below.